Hey, this is JC. Welcome to Urban Knife Guy, where we explore the urban lifestyle and jungle survival. We're starting this video a bit differently because I just received a package. That's right, I got this knife which I've been hunting down for quite some time. It just arrived, picked it up from downstairs, so I thought I'll give you a bit of behind the scenes peek and I'll bring it into the studio and we will get started to have a look at this video. Let's have a look at what it is and I'll share with you my thoughts on it. First, if you watch this channel regularly but have not subscribed, please do so to help the channel out. And if you'd like to support the channel even more, do check out my shop links in the pinned comment or description below. You can even join as a channel member. Thanks a lot. Alright, here's the package. Here's the package opening knife. Let's just find out how we're gonna slice this open. So I got this eventually from Lamnia. If you're not familiar with where that's from, that's a knife company out of Finland. So the knife that I've bought is made in Italy. You can get it from Italian dealers. For whatever reason, Italian customs would not allow it to be shipped to this part of the world, even though there's no reason for that. They basically said that it's a prohibited item in this part of the world, so it can't be shipped here. But that obviously is false because, as you know, I buy knives all the time. Let's grab this out. Making a bit of a mess, but here we have it. This is a knife by Fox Knives. It's the Defender, actually the Defender 2 FX689. It is similar in style or look to a K-bar, and I've actually owned a K-bar in the past, and I'll tell you more in just a bit. But I've been looking for this knife. It's hard to find. It's sold out in my usual sources, and when I went online, again, sold out. Ordered it once successfully, it got rejected by Italian customs, tracked it down here in Finland, and it made its way across the world over here. So let's check it out, open this carefully. So very simple carton packaging, but in black. And let's get that open. So typically when I do my videos, I always get a chance to have a look at the knife. So I am really, when I do my recording, I've already had my first impressions. So this is the very first time I've done a true unboxing, in the sense that first time actually seeing the product and feeling it. All right, so it's got a leather sheath, at least for this version. Pretty decent, I'd say. Now, my only comparison would be to Line Steel, another Italian company. I think Line Steel has slightly better sheaths. This is still good, but I think fit and finish not as good as Line Steel, but still very decent. Very generous belt loop over there, and this goes across the guard for that cross kind of a retention snap. Bit of glue that you can see over here. That's just what I mean by the fit and finish. And a nice, it's not paracord, but kind of a thick cord, braided cord. All right, let's have a look at the knife itself. All right, it comes in this kind of a canvas cotton bag. Let's have a look. All right, just some literature, and this is, I guess, some marketing material. All right, okay, so let's get that out of the way and let's have a look at this knife. Okay, what's the big deal about this particular knife? Why was it so hard to track down? And here it is. So let's take out the cover and have a look at that. Very handsome knife. I mean, when I saw the images, I was drawn to the knife. Okay, it's called the Defender. Now, the first version probably came out a dozen years ago, but it's been discontinued. This is a reissue with a different steel. Still got this big build boarding. I don't really like that, okay, honestly. So I don't like that, but other than that, the overall aesthetics of the knife, very nice. And that's what I mean by it looks like a K-bar. Now, I've owned a K-bar before. I actually received it probably in 1990, and I got it as an award because I was the best performing scout in job week, and that was kind of the prize. And I got a K-bar USMC knife, and I I used it, but obviously I didn't know how to treat the knives back then. Now over the decades, it actually degraded because that leather stacked handles, that degraded, the sheath degraded, the knife itself rusted because it is carbon steel, and after I used it, the coating did come off. So I had to actually get rid of it a couple of years ago. So I do intend maybe to get a K-bar in future, but never pulled the trigger simply because I felt that there are many knives better than the K-bar. Right, the K-bar is, yes, it's got a distinguished history, but I think in terms of materials, blade thickness, in terms of the tang and construction, there are actually many more knives out there which are better. So when I saw this reminded me of the K-bar, but obviously is much better built. So these handles are not leather stacked. This is walnut wood. The blade steel, in the original K-bar, it's 1095, now 1095 Crovan, but this is N690 CO stainless steel. So it's not N690, it's N690 CO, which is actually an upgrade and definitely tougher and harder. Bead blasted finish. This is, I always wondered, is it a hollow grind? It's not actually, it's a saber grind, and that's nice to know because K-bars are hollow grind. So bead blasted finish as well, thick 5mm, but I think it works for this size of a knife. The blade length is just under 7 inches at 6.81. Overall length is 12.6 inches, so just under 13 inches. And the weight is 12.35 ounces or 350 grams. Honestly, I don't feel that weight. It's well balanced. Really well balanced. Now this is obviously designed as a combat fighting or tactical knife. For my purposes, of course, I'm going to see if I can use it efficiently in the outdoors for bushcrafting adventures, in the jungle specifically. And this being a stainless steel is great. I'm happy that it's a saber grind and feels good in hand. Let's see what happens when you're in the field and get sweating. Maybe I'll coat this with linseed oil. I do see some finishing here, but it's a bit rough as well. But let's coat it in that linseed oil. We'll do at least 2 or 3 coatings before we bring it out. This is full tang. I'm not sure how this is attached to this pommel, but it's a full tang construction, maybe a hidden tang, but I don't think it's just a rat tang. But if anyone knows, please let me know, because surprisingly there's really little information on this knife. Virtually no videos on this. The only videos I've seen done on this is by Donovan Tew, and he's just done kind of introductory videos, doesn't really get into the specs and just kind of shows it off. So I wanted you to have a good look at the knife, look at the specs, and let's see how it looks like in sheath. All right, I'm always wary about these leather sheaths, especially with those retention straps. Well, first off, it's a really tight fit, so I assume it'll loosen up over time. And then, yeah, you really have to push that in, and that, right, even that is tight. Let's try to push it in even more. And, all right, I'm really trying to pull, and I'm having trouble putting the snap on. Now, that is pretty surprising. Look, it's really in. Let's push that in even more if we can. And let's pull this over. Yeah, just barely. Now that's a lot of effort to put it back. Obviously it's going to be very secure, right? No rattling whatsoever. But if it's on the belt, yes, you can flip this out. It's going to be hard to pull off unless maybe you're supposed to tie this off to your thigh. If not, you have to pull, and look at that. That's going to be tough. All right, let's be careful there. So I think this needs to be broken into. It's pretty soft leather, but maybe a bit of conditioner will help. If I do intend to carry this regularly, I'm not sure I will, but if I do, then probably I have to make a kydex sheath. I should mention there are actually 2 versions of this particular knife. There is this design, which is kind of that bead blasted silver finish with that wooden handle, and then there's the all black version, which is very tactical and has the black, I believe it's a polymer handle, and a kydex sheath. I personally just don't like all black knives. I'm not so big into the whole tactical look. I'm also quite particular when it comes to even just black blades. I like that silver look. I like a knife to look like a knife, if that makes any sense. Let me know if you are the same as me. But tell you what, I think overall, just the first impressions, yeah, it's a great knife in terms of balance, in terms of feel. Generally, I would find this pretty big. In fact, it does feel a little big, but still manageable. Our small to medium hands, so I always look at palm swells and how big a handle is, but still feels all right. I would say that if you have large hands or medium large hands, you'll definitely find this very comfortable. For me, it is, I do definitely feel it's on the larger side, but still manageable. But we'll see what happens when it goes outfield. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring this out to the jungle, do some field testing, and I'll end my review in the field. Alright, we're out in the jungle ready to do some field tests with the Defender. It's been about a week since I filmed the in-studio portion of this video, and what I've done is I've actually reshaped the handle just a bit. I used sandpaper, very low grit, to take off the top and the bottom, so it's actually flattened a bit. As you can see, it used to be completely rounded like that, but now you can see it's a bit flattened. I still feel I would need to go more, and we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 segments over here. I'll probably use a Dremel tool to really shape that even further after this. Now, I did have to use a saw and file to recreate these grooves because when you sand them down, they literally disappear. But that's a great thing I think about these walnut handles. You can shape them as you need based on your hand size. Now, the leather also has been worked in. I've been putting the sheath in and out, or the knife in and out of the sheath just a bit, kind of flexing it a bit, and I would say it's actually much better now, much easier to take out. Still a bit stiff right at the beginning, but at least once you get the initial pull out, it's fine. And I'm sure over time actually it will work very well. And in fact, the leather strap too has, I guess, been worked in just a bit, so it's easier to close, and I'll just assume over time this is really going to loosen up. So if you do like leather sheaths, I think the sheath will work actually quite well. I did take out that braided nylon rope over here, but generally okay. But if I were to bring this out, of course, in my environment, I will make a Kydex sheath. All right, let's get started with the field test. So that could chop, but I did feel this turning in my hand. That's because of the rounded handle and because it is, I think, too big for my hand. But look what else happened. This entire handle has turned. In fact, I could feel this pommel here loosening up. Now that's not a good thing. This wasn't even hard use in my opinion. Just chopping some wood. Look at that. That's completely loose. Okay, so that's how the pommel is attached, and I guess this answers the question in terms of whether it's a full tang. It is a full tang, but rat tang, as you can see. This is about the same thickness as the blade stock, but it's probably maybe 7-8 mm wide, so it's really small, and that just goes in there, and this is machined, and that just tightens up. So I guess that's a good thing or a bad thing depending on your perspective. Definitely bad from how that turned during chopping, but maybe now that I know you have to turn this even more. Good, you can replace the handle easily if you need, and now if I need to shape it, I can actually just pull this, just take this off completely out of the knife and reshape the handle. But I'm just surprised how easily that turns. So that's important to note if you are thinking about doing something like chopping. And this is not particularly hardwood, and I don't consider this hard use. It just turned and the vibration just caused this to loosen. So something to note for this particular knife. So what are my thoughts after this few tests? I'm actually disappointed with this handle. I believe it can be fixed. What do you think? Maybe drop epoxy down in. I don't think that just a thread lock on this pommel will work, although you would add that in. But would you recommend filling with epoxy? That would definitely keep it from moving, and I think it'll be pretty firm. However, if you ever need to switch handles, would that pose a problem? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But I believe that would be a fix. But that's something you would actually have to fix, and if you are talking about a knife which is supposed to be of good quality, then there's something a bit disappointing. So I found that anytime you put any kind of impact on the blade, whether you're battening, cross battening, regular battening, or even chopping as you saw, this would cause the handle to turn and the pommel here to loosen. So I think if you can solve that, then that's fine. But overall, in terms of the knife performance, you saw it. It's as good as any knife in my opinion. Now this is of course not designed as a bushcraft knife, but designed as an all-round combat knife, so for fighting and general utility. So sometimes the guard does get in the way when you do bushcraft tasks, especially more finer work. When you're trying to reach over, then that guard will get in the way, but there are works around with that, and if you're used to working with knives with guards, then that's easy enough to just adjust, and I'm sure you can adjust and get a good sense of how you should grip the knife over time. In terms of weight, I actually love this balance. I think as a fighting knife, why I'm not going to use it as a fighting knife, anyone who does would probably like that weight and like that balance. Of course, because it's so well balanced, when it comes to chopping, it's not as effective as something that would be front heavy. So of course that would be your trade-offs. So as an overall general utility knife, as a combat knife that you want to be able to do general tasks, including out in the jungle tasks, ignoring the handle issue, I do like this a lot. And if I can solve the handle issue, this is something I wouldn't mind carrying if it's supposed to be a 1-2 option kind of deal, right? Normally, of course, I carry my 3-knife system, but if there was an occasion where I'm just going out for a hike and I want a single knife that I could carry, and assuming I solved the handle issue, this is something that I would like to carry. It's lightweight. I think it's very nimble, yet very capable in the different tasks it needs to do, and I can definitely feel myself being confident with this as self-defense or as a kind of a jungle survival too. But let me know your thoughts on the Defender. Does this failure of the handle really turn you off of the knife, or do you think it's a simple fix? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.